Welcome to all of you who are viewing the next installment of our Organizing 101 series. I'm Reverend Cynthia Gerald. I'm the Senior Advisor for Funding Strategies and External Affairs for the Gamaliel Network. And I'm so thrilled to have Ponsella Hardaway with me today. She'll be sharing a bit about her own experience as a senior organizer in this network. So Ponsella, welcome. You're calling in from Detroit. It looks great there right now. So can you tell us a little bit about who you are, your role, and your experience in the network?
Ponsella Hardaway with Moses, Executive Director of Moses in Detroit. I've been organizing for 20 plus years. I actually started really wanting to work with youth because I was a youth organizer in my church, youth director. And I was looking for ways of engaging the community and young people, and went to week-long training I wasn't like I wanted to be an organizer at that time. I didn't have a social justice lens. I just wanted to work with young people in my church. And then discovered Gamaliel Network, who actually was working with my congregation. And I decided to be an organizer. I was propositioned to be an organizer, didn't quite know what that was and didn't know you can get paid for it. And so I decided to give it 2 years because I was in the middle of transitioning in my life anyway at that time, and ended up doing it for over 20 years.
Wow.
I've been director with Moses since 2004. So I was organized for 7 years and then became director. And really what kept me in organizing, particularly within the Gamaliel Network, one is I love the fact that we really look at things through a racial equity lens since the time I started organizing. And doing one-on-ones with leaders, I feel like if I don't know if I can survive organizing if I'm not really engaging with the people and organizing with them and doing one-on-ones and understanding their stories and how their stories and how they transform themselves in the process of this organizing. That's what keeps me in organizing.
The fact that you mentioned story makes me think about the number of times I've actually heard your story, either with you in a training room, training Path to Power, or I can remember traveling through Detroit with you and journeying through some of your own life experience. A lot of the folks in our network talk about the importance of organizing and connect it with their life story. Can you say a bit more about how the importance of organizing to you and how it does connect with your own story?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, one of the things, first being an African-American woman, I'm gonna say Black woman, and just how we're viewed in society and how, what our role is in our families. And even the issue of just being about what kind of impact we have or what understanding what power was for us. So when I started organizing, I was on this journey at the time. The reason why I got into organizing, because I was intimidated by people in power. And that's because I came out of corporate America. So when I was dealing with people in power there, and I felt so insignificant in that infrastructure, and I was just tired of not being able to be myself. And so when I saw this opportunity to organize, I just got in because I wanted to challenge the fear that I had of just being who I am, especially confronting people who are, I perceive as in powerful positions. And so my journey in early organizing was was really wanting to meet the women like me, young or old, to let them know they have a right to stand up for who they are in this society. And that's the driving force behind my organizing, is because I can see in them the things that that actually flow through me as terms of just wanting to change the world around us, impact the issues that are important to me at that time. Of course, our self-interest evolved over time, but just investing in women in this work is really important. They can be confident and they have something to contribute and they can sit at the tables and not feel any less than who they are. And that was my journey. And I feel like that's my path to bring other people in that journey as well. So that's what I feel like kept me into organizing, and just to see women just transform
Yeah.
their powerful selves, confronting presidents and governors and legislators and mayors. And one story I want to share is one leader. We did, then Biden he was vice president back then, how he just chased her across the stage because she wanted to shake her hand. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, she's so powerful, so strong, and made a strong presentation. Even he was chasing her across the stage to shake her hand. So that's what I live for. I feel like that's what makes it worth doing.
That's great. That's great. So you mentioned powerful moments as those moments when you've done these one-to-ones with people, and then watching these leaders, especially women, blossom. Are there any other really significant moments you want to lift up about your organizing work?
Yeah, when I became director of Moses, there was a moment where I had to decide if I wanted to be in that role. And it was because of the things I faced with in terms of my own abilities. And I knew I had to make a clear decision about organizing this large public meeting. And so on the first year of my organizing, there were some challenges on moving this particular public meeting. So I had to stand up and just make a decision, despite the opposition I was getting at that time, to go ahead and push through and do this big public meeting, which was at a stadium, a basketball stadium. And I said, no, we're going to do it, and there were lessons learned, and we created the space. I found someone to help me to organize this stadium where it would look intimate enough. And so there were a lot of issues, but we ended up having like 4,500 people.
Wow.
At this event. And we had down from the governor, the mayor, legislature, we had everybody. And I think government shut down that day. Everybody of every kind of government was in the room, and it was really powerful. And it was at that moment that I had to really take a huge risk and step into a space that I wasn't very comfortable in being a part, in doing. And in gaining my confidence and really securing my position as director of the organization, where I was waffling leading up to that and listening to other people, and it was just that moment that just made it say, yep, this is it. If I can do this, there's nothing else I can't do. So it was on after that.
That's great. And you've built an organization in Detroit that has a great reputation, not just within your state or the Gamaliel Network, but major national funders know who you are. Major national figures know who you and Moses are. So that's really great, Ponsella. So I want to ask you one last question, and that's this question. What advice would you give to folks who think that they might want a career as a community organizer, and or folks who think they might want to invest in the work of community organizing?
So people want a career. I always ask the question when I have, especially young organizers who come to Moses, is, what's your journey? Because we're out here organizing people, and we want to be able, one, to put them on a path to really their own identity, their own worth in this work, and putting their values in the public arena. But we're not doing it for people, we're doing it with people. So why are you in this work? And so I think that's an ongoing question that you have to ask. And people in the community know when you're authentic or not. If you're not in this fight with them, they can sense it. And so it's much more powerful if you're clear about your path, about, well, I don't care what color you are. I've had white organizers work in deep east side of Black Detroit, and I asked myself, okay, you're not a bleeding heart liberal going in here to do justice. What is your journey? You're organizing people. Who are you? What are you struggling with? And I don't care who you are, you're all struggling with something, and we want to grow and be confident and powerful and act out our values in the public arena. and we got to model what we're asking other who we're organizing. We have to model the same attitudes and behaviors and disciplines that we're asking leaders to do. So if you think that you're not, you don't see yourself in that fight with them, they can sniff it out and it won't be effective. So you have to always keep asking, why are you doing this work? Keep reminding yourself. I don't care. I've been spending 20 years and I still have to ask myself, okay, why am I doing this work right now? What's my journey right now? Because it evolves. And then now I can pull other people in because I'm clear about why I'm in it. So let's bring other people in and get them clear about why they're in it and why it's important to them. But if it's just you doing it for other people, then you're in the wrong business. Go to a social service agency or something, because this is not the space for it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. This is hard work.
Yeah.
And the same, I assume the same advice applies to people who want to invest in the work. They need to be authentically engaged.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think with funders, people who invest in this work, really taking the time to understand what organizing is,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not a one-off. It's really, we're talking about sustaining and building power and impact over time. And so and then really listening to how things can be shaped. There's so many innovative things that are happening on the ground with leaders and organizers. And so they are on the ground and they hear what's going on and they know what works and what's not working. And so how can the investment match some of the innovativeness that's going on the ground? So I think people have a hard time with organizing because we're not a social service type work. It's not a tangible like product that we necessarily produce other than maybe changing policy, transforming lives, changing the landscape and how work is done on the ground. So it's not, sometimes it's just that ever evolving space that we create to move with these political dynamics that are happening to our communities and society. And so I think the pandemic proved that we had to really become innovative about that. So being open to ways of engaging in the top prize and investing is when you have people on the ground who are standing up for what's right, and actually are engaging and able to negotiate and transform and move things on the ground in a way that's making lives better for a lot of people. And it's hard. This past couple of years has been really hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if we're not giving up, so we know that it's a long game.
Thanks, Ponsella. And I want to say thank you to the folks who've joined us today to hear a little bit more about community organizing and in particular the work that Ponsella is engaged in. Again, you'll be able to view all of the installments of this series on our website. And next week, we'll be back with Reverend David Girth, who's the Executive Director of Metropolitan Congregations United in St. Louis. And he and Ponsella are close colleagues, both chairs of the State Directors Table for Gamaliel. So, Ponsella, thank you again. This was really terrific.
Thank you. Thanks, Cynthia.